Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the December 16, 2024 Wiseburn Unified School District Board meeting. I'm calling this meeting to order at 6:03 p.m. this evening. And we have a pretty special evening. We will have the swearing in of two of our elected Board of Trustees that were elected on November 5th, I think, 2024, Michelle and Neil. So we'll have that. We'll have the reorganization of our working groups, and then we'll have a normal course of business. Wendy, would you please take roll call?
Present.
Present.
Present. Present.
Present. And Dr. Dougal, would you please lead us in the pledge?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with justice for all.
Okay. We have no action items to report from closed session this evening. And you'll have a motion for the adoption of the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, Neil. Thank you, Roger. All in favor?
Aye.
Fantastic. Any, Wendy, any comments from the public on non-agenda items? We do, okay.
We have Octavio Gutierrez.
Good evening and
Good eve-
welcome.
Good evening, everybody. First of all, congratulations to both of you, Ms. Legaspi, Mr. Goldman. I have worked with you guys for a long time, and this evening I am going to be in my reading intervention hat. I have many hats that I wear, but that's what I'm here. So my public comment tonight is regarding the Right After School program coming into my classroom. Now, what I see as a difficult thing is the fact that they're coming in while I'm still teaching. So I want you to put yourselves in my shoes. I have a small group of students, yes, from 2 to 3. However, when RAS comes to my class, I would be the only certificated person in the room. So who's going to be in charge of those students? If something happens, who's going to be liable? That is what I want to share with you. And hopefully there will be a resolution, perhaps at a time that I am not teaching in my class. That's what I wanted to share with you. Thank you for listening to me. And I mean, I am speechless, honestly. Thank you.
Thank you. And just a friendly reminder, the board is per public.
I understand.
Bylaws, the board's not.
I
allowed to
understand.
respond.
Thank you so much.
And then for any of the upcoming comments, just a reminder that you're limited to 3 minutes. And that obviously that's not for you, Mr. Gutierrez, but for anybody forthcoming. But thank you.
Alice Davis.
Good evening and welcome, Ms. Davis.
The board. My name is Alex Davis, and I'm the education specialist. I'm here tonight to express my concerns about the decision to use my classroom as one of the designated spaces for the after-school program during the TK classroom construction. While I understand the district's need to find temporary solutions, this decision will have a significant and negative impact on my ability to fulfill my responsibilities as a teacher and a specialist. Currently, I rely on after-school hours to complete critical tasks such as preparing IEP documentation, organizing instructional materials, and setting up my classroom for the next day's lessons. These tasks are essential for delivering a high-quality instruction and addressing the diverse needs of my students. Moreover, as you know, IEP deadlines are legally mandated, and losing access to my classroom will severely impact my ability to meet those critical deadlines. Additionally, my classroom contains confidential materials, including student photographs and sensitive IEP information, allowing 30 students into the space daily from 2:30 to 5, creates serious privacy concerns and risks compromising the confidentiality of this sensitive information. It is also important to note that I teach first and second graders who receive services from me in my classroom until 3. The loss of access to my classroom during the afternoons will make it impossible for me to test students, provide interventions, or work with them effectively in the space where they feel most comfortable. On Wednesdays, my planning period is from 2 to 3, which is an essential time for organizing lessons, preparing materials, and addressing the specific needs of my students. If the after-school program occupies my classroom, I will lose this ability to use this time productively in my designated workspace. This disruption will further hinder my ability to prepare lessons and maintain an organized environment necessary for student success. This issue is not isolated to my classroom. Utilizing any teacher's space for the after-school program disrupts our ability to maintain a prepared and functional learning environment. Teachers depend on consistent access to their classrooms to plan, set up instructional tools, and create spaces that meet the unique needs of their students. I respectfully urge the district to consider alternative locations for the after-school program that do not interfere with teacher classrooms. Preserving teachers' ability to access their classrooms is vital to ensuring high-quality instruction and meeting the needs of all students. Thank you for your attention to this matter and for considering the significant challenges this decision poses for teachers, students, and the overall quality of education at Holly Glen School.
Thank you.
Natalia Jimenez.
Good evening and welcome, Ms. Jimenez.
Good evening, thank you. It's not green. There we go, it's green. I am here tonight as a parent and also as a member of the Noche de Familia group that a few parents have created over the last few years. I just wanted to piggyback off of what the teacher said and sort of bring another perspective, which is if you could consider how having the after-school program within the different classrooms and the PAC will impact the PTA and will also impact groups like Noche de Familia, where we do use classrooms after hours. We use the PAC for our Dia de los Muertos event and just other events where we get together as a community and really, have activities that kind of bring parents and kids together. So if you could, maybe we need to be creative about how we do these things, but just wanted to bring that to your attention. Thank you.
Dr. Raquel Michael Jackson. I'm sorry if I want to make sure I pronounce that right. Michelle Jackson, thank you.
Okay, it's green. Good evening, board members, Dr. Silver, administrators et al. My name is Dr. Raquel Michelle Jackson. My child attends Holly Glen Elementary and participates in RAS. First and foremost, I want to take this opportunity to thank teachers, paraprofessionals, staff, administrators, and everyone who continues to create change in the lives of their students. I am eternally grateful to everyone at Holly Glen and RAS. Recently, I did receive a message on my RAS app notifying me of a change occurring in January. That text from RAS was that they were moving. Not much else was really shared in that text, so I had to text RAS and even talk to the RAS staff to find out what this change was about, what was happening. I found out that the pickup and drop-off would be in the PAC building starting in January. Not a lot of information still has been provided. I understand that there is a committee that made a decision to renovate the RAS space rather than build a new building, which saves us thousands of taxpayer dollars. So I have several questions. I wonder if the committee collaborated or consulted with those on the front lines on the overall impact this decision would make. Number two, my other question is, how will events be impacted by utilizing the PAC and other spaces? I share a little bit of my experience where I was a bit confused because a few weeks earlier, I had volunteered for an event in the PAC building from 1:30 to 2. And additionally, I have seen how events are held in the PAC building during after school and even before. And I couldn't help but wonder how this change would impact the greater school community. My other question is, how will teachers, staff, and paraprofessionals be impacted once those rooms are utilized? I have seen teachers remain after school to work on lesson planning, set up meetings with parents for IEPs, parent conferences, student interventions, etc. How will this decision impact the most vulnerable populations, such as English language learners, math intervention, and other interventions? This really kind of creates a fear and mistrust in the lack of equity and inclusion. Most importantly, what is exactly the plan? Like, there really wasn't anything laid out except for a text message and recently the newsletter. And then how long will this change be for? And then how will the remainder of the money be utilized? I do have a recommendation because I like to come with recommendations is to hold a Holly Glen Town Hall meeting to share the input and have the community discuss about the use of the spaces, funds, and future funds.
22nd.
Okay, rent portable classroom bungalows to support RAS function, and then this will help with transparency and collaborative input. And I know that the Measure EE Facts highlights 3 points, and I just want to kind of highlight that this decision to utilize spaces that are designed to support students seem to go against those 3 points. I hope you reconsider your decision to house RAS in spaces that support students and consider the above recommendation. Oops, sorry. Can I hand this over to you guys, just so that if you didn't capture what I said?
Thank you.
Denise Favela.
Good evening and welcome, Denise.
Good evening. Thank you for hearing me. My name is Denise Favela. This is my daughter, Iris. She is a student at Holly Glen and has been a student of Mr. G and participant in both RAS and ELD and other programs at the school. We also have participated with other cultural activities and social activities that make use of these classrooms, such as Mr. G's and the PAC. And we are here to ask some of the questions that others have already made in regards to the use of our concern of the use of the classroom space of these teachers and how it will not just impact teachers, but our own children who receive services in these classrooms from these professionals. I'm highly concerned that their work and their hard quality work for my child will be impacted and compromised when they don't have adequate space and accommodation. And I'm also concerned, obviously, for those children that will still be in some of the classrooms, such as Mr. G's, while other children are in the area. It's highly distracting. And I just wanted to come here and say that I am supportive of all the other statements that have said and have the same concerns as other parents and professionals that have come here. And I do very much care or would like for you to hear those concerns, because obviously my little girl didn't want to stay home with her dad. She wanted you to see her face and to know that this is very important, not just for me as a parent, but for her as a student and a recipient of services of those professionals. Thank you.
Thank you.
Christina Jobert.
Good evening and welcome, Christine.
Hi. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to speak. I have to wear my glasses. I talked with Neil after last week's board meeting, and he asked that I share with the board how the kids at Connect's TK through 8 campus might be impacted by the addition of a new practice baseball field for the WDV baseball team. For those of you who don't know, I can't see y'all with them, though. That's the problem. I put the writing big enough, so I'm hoping I can read without them. You look all blurry when I look up. And anyway, for those of you who don't know, I'm the parent of a child who attends Connect's TK through 8. I'm also a Holly Glen resident. My brother-in-law, who also happens to be my next door neighbor, is a longtime WDV baseball coach. And my nephew's name is on the wall of the WDV gym holding a WDV baseball record. I've been attending games, living the baseball team's field space struggle, and cheering for the team for many, many years. I love WDV baseball. I love Connect's TK through 8. I love this board. I love Da Vinci. And I love that this board wants to create a proper practice field for our WDV baseball team. I truly, truly love it, and I thank you for it. I know our teams, our schools, Our communities and our residential communities deserve it. As you continue to move through the decision process for creating the new WDV baseball practice field, I ask that you continue to take into consideration how the kids who attend school on that campus may be impacted. I recognize that the kids will be gaining more grass space, but as my son said when I asked him this morning his thoughts on if the extra grass space would make up for a loss of blacktop, he said, quote, "But where will we eat lunch? Where will the younger kids who like to play foursquare play? Where will we get shade when we get too hot? And where will we play basketball?" Now, I know that the design aspect of the space is still being discussed behind the scenes. I know that the leaders within Da Vinci and the Weisborn District are still hard at work to ensure that this is a solution that will serve all parties. And I'm certain that you'll continue to work with Da Vinci staff and board to figure out all that, just as you always have done and always will do. I'll wrap up by saying that there are many things that I'm grateful for to this board, and one of the many things I've noticed over the past year is that your thoughtfulness, diligence, and leadership can create incredible outcomes for kids. As a parent raising her child in this district, I'm deeply grateful for that and for so much more. Thank you for giving me the time to speak tonight and for your continued thoughtfulness and diligence on behalf of our kids.
Thank you. Any other public comments?
That's it.
Okay, thank you. All right, I think that leads us to the next part of the board meeting, and a special one, the administration of the oath of office. Blake?
Can't just make it up as you go there, Blake.
I'm gonna.
I think Blake was.
Okay.
Are we ready? Sure. Are we doing this together? One by
This
one?
wasn't on the-
You want to go first, Michelle? Ladies first?
Sure.
All right. And you actually have to stand in the front and center. I think. All right, so please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Michelle Legaspi,
I, Michelle Legaspi,
do solemnly swear that
do solemnly swear that
I will support, defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
That I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California.
That I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California.
That I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion.
That I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion.
And I will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which I am about to enter.
And I will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which I am about to enter.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right.
Congratulations, Michelle. And we do not feel obligated that you have to stay for the public.
So I'm glad I have second, so you're gonna break that up for me, right?
That's fine.
I was gonna say, by the way, we had to remember all that. Roger and I were just commenting on that.
We should have let.
All right, Dr. Goldman, please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Dr. Neil Goldman,
I, Dr. Neil Goldman,
do solemnly swear that
do solemnly swear that
I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
That I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California.
That I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California.
That I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, and
That I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, and
I will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which I am about to enter.
I will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which I'm about to enter. Congratulations.
Yeah, let's take a moment. to take a picture. Wendy.
Photo op. Come on up. Yeah. My favorite person.
I'm sure.
Anytime you get a chance to take a picture with your wife, your favorite person. Yeah. Come on in. Congratulations. Partner. All right. Well, thank you. Get on there.
Yep.
Thank you.
Should we do one with just the two? Maybe just Michelle. You said maybe just like you, and then maybe just Neil and Michelle. So
Here, let's just do it. All right, awesome. All right. Smile.
Thank you. 2, 3, 1.
Thank you for being with us.
Thank you, and congratulations to the both of you again.
I'm good if you're.
All right. That leads us to board member reports. And I think I'm going to start with Michelle tonight.
Again, thank you to the community for this amazing opportunity. It is like I expressed after the election, I just really am humbled and excited to take on this role. It is something that is so important to me, and I love this community. And I hope that everything that I do from here on out reflects that love and that commitment to this great office. And again, to be elected by your community is something that it's a feeling that I think is beyond what I've ever expected to have in my life. So I am just really, really grateful for that opportunity to be connected to this wonderful place. That being said, I really hope everybody has a wonderful holiday and a relaxing new year. I know I am looking forward to, what are we at? 3.5 more days. We're not counting. And so I just want everybody to make sure that they slow down and hug your families and just be in the spirit of gratefulness and love. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Michelle.
Dr. Bowman.
Thank you. Thank you to the community. This will be my 11th year on the board, and I'm as motivated as ever and humbled by the experience and committed to doing what's right for kids, for our teachers, for our fiscal management, got to put that in, guys, right? And for our community. So thank you, and privileged to continue serving. The same as Michelle. Also, thank you to Michelle. We ran together, obviously very thrilled we both won, but it was a great education, a great opportunity to meet you, get to know you, and thrilled to do it. And thank you to the board for your support throughout. Happy holidays, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Neil.
Congratulations again, Neil and Michelle. We're really thrilled to keep working with both of you as we have for the last almost a year, right? Since Michelle joined us on the board. Looking forward to 4 more of those. I also just wanted to send my holiday well wishes to everyone. I think it's been a good start to the school year. We're almost halfway through, if we can believe that. Looking forward to saying goodbye to 2024. That is ups and downs. But I think that overall, for the school district itself, it's been a very good one. And lots of new additions to the team that we've been seeing positive changes and the like. So just sending you and your loved ones, all of our school community, a holiday season filled with joy and laughter and hopefully some rest and relaxation and
rejuvenation as we head into 2025. So thank you. Mhm.
Thank you, Nelson. First, congratulations, Neil and Michelle. Congratulations on your reelection to the school board. It has been an absolute privilege to work with you, and I look forward to many more years of working with you here on the board. And also thank you to our Wiseman community for returning two excellent board members back to the dais here to work with us to continue in the mission of providing excellent education for our students. Thank you. Thank you for returning two excellent board members. And then last but not least, I wish everybody a very happy holiday season, a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Looking forward to hopefully a little bit of time off, spending time with family and friends. I hope you have the same with all of your loved ones and enjoy the time as it's a wonderful time of the year. Lots of things to be grateful for. Thank you. That's all for me, Nelson.
Thank you, Roger. I also want to extend congratulations to Michelle and Neil. It's an honor to serve with the both of you, and I look forward to continue to do that. I also wanted to take just a quick moment as I end my presidency. I just wanted to express my deep gratitude to my colleagues here at the dais, the administration, the cabinet, staff, and really the entire school community for just the collaboration and support that we've had the past 2 years, and actually extend beyond that. And I also wanted to just thank Neil, my predecessor, who really set the stage for me in terms of the presidency, and it will continue to thrive as we pick our next president here. So again, just my deep gratitude to everybody, and excited about what's coming, because I know that one of the things about this board is we challenge ourselves to continue to improve the student learning environment and also the student outcomes. So I look forward to that. And last but not least, I just want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and a safe one as well. That's all. It's perfect.
Were you ready, Maggie?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thinking about vacations. Thank you. Great. Lots of things happening in Ed Services. I mean, reflecting on some of the conversation that you had last week about AI, and as well as surveys that have gone out to our teachers. We do have an interest in that. Our March 7th PD Day is in the process of being planned, and thanks to Tony Ramirez, we do have someone who's going to be coming in and working with our teachers on AI and giving our teachers some choice in the professional development that they're going to be participating in. So stay tuned. We want to talk to our teachers about some next steps, but we have some great things happening in that services side. So excited to begin that planning.
Tonight, it's recommended that the board approve an agreement for School Mint, which is our online registration system for enrollment, registration. I know at last week's meeting, we talked about possibly looking into PowerSchool and bringing that to the board in the future just for ease of use. But because we're approaching enrollment season now, we are hoping to use School Mint to help in the transition of eventually using PowerSchool for next year and the start of next year. So that's why you see it here today, even though last week we mentioned a different system.
Sean?
Congratulations to Michelle and Neil. It's very evident that you're both very passionate about kids and the community. And I just look forward to working with you both and maintaining the district's fiscal stewardship and solvency. So, and happy holidays and Merry Christmas to everyone.
All right, just two comments for me today. I want to start by addressing the TK situation at Holly Glen and actually at Del Air as well. We know that this is a difficult, anytime you're sharing space, it's a challenge. I acknowledge that as a challenge. I also acknowledge it as a necessity just because of money, resources. And when we've brought to the board on several occasions, facilities planning and brought to the oversight committee, as well as to the facilities committee, the board's facilities working group, costs of building something or even placing a portable is so significant, it's basically untenable. Like we would not be able to do projects on the back end of this bond program or even in the middle of this bond program just because the money would all go to buildings, including portables. Portables used to be relatively not inexpensive, but they were more inexpensive than building. But now with new codes and DSA and all of these other things, it's just become untenable to do that. And that's recent, like within the last, few years, really, that those costs have gone up so exponential. So it puts us in a position, it puts us in this position today to have to make some difficult decisions. But I do and have empowered both with resources and with support from the district to provide our principal and teachers with what the best resources that we can to support our students. Our goal is going to always be to advocate and to support our students. And so we're going to do that, and we're going to put the resources where we need to make that happen. Again, it's probably about a 6-month process. It may continue to be an issue down the road to some degree, but not to the extent that we're seeing it now. I just want to bring up to one of the statistics or one of the reasons, I guess, that we're in this predicament is we did make a commitment 4 years ago when we brought Right at School on, was that we wouldn't carry a wait list. Up until that point, we had these significant wait lists. I want to say at Holly Glen one year, we had 100 and, maybe 10 or 115 kids on a wait list. I could be messing that number up. It was significant nonetheless. And that's a big strain on our families that are looking for daycare. And, you're spending a lot of money on daycare out and about, the Beach Babies and Montessori's and all these other programs. So one of the commitments that this board asked us to look into, and we certainly wanted to really lead in this district, was providing a safe place for parents to leave their kids on our sites after school and not make that be a stressor in our families' lives. So we run into some issues. We run into the space issues. Space is always going to be an issue. I just want to say that we're going to be thoughtful about this. We're going to be caring about it. We know that it's difficult. We thank those that are impacted by it. I certainly acknowledge the comments today. But just wanted to say that, in sort of the interest of transparency and the interest of planning, that this isn't, we're not talking about $1,000, we're talking about millions of dollars in expenditures that would cost for us to add facility space. So what we need to do is do a really good job with logistics and a really good job with kind of identifying how we can make everything fit. And that's the area that we're going to focus on. So I will empower our team to do that. We'll support the team in doing that. I know Nisha's had conversations with the team about it as well. So we're going to continue this pathway. Certainly try and minimize some of the impact as best we can, support teachers as best we can through that, thank teachers for doing this and knowing that it's a really, it's difficult. It's always difficult to share space, and try and minimize it as best we can as well. Once the construction is done, we'll have 4 new classrooms that are going to be very large. It's going to free up other classrooms that are currently being used, and hopefully that would limit some of the impact. Again, not saying that it will never be impactful in the future, not saying that, who knows how big. If 600 kids want to be in the program at Holly Glen, then we want to be able to offer that to our families to be able to do it in a way that is, obviously that's not going to happen. But the reality is those numbers can go up, those numbers can fluctuate, and we just want to be responsive to those numbers. So anyway, I just I wanted to share that today. As staff, I can actually share a response to comments. So I figured it would be important to just share what our perspective is right now. And thank you, for comments today to the community. I appreciate it. And certainly open to working through it. So thanks. Second thing, I just want to say, this is my 7th year. I'm almost finishing my 7th year in this position, and now have had, 4 or 5 maybe presidents at this point. And I just want to thank Nelson Martinez for his stewardship over 2 years. He came to me a couple years ago as he was preparing for this, and we met, and he said he had some goals to accomplish. One of his first goals, he said, was to really work on the relationship between Weisbrod and Da Vinci, to work on the process, to work on our communication, to work on those outcomes. The second one was to really help shepherd across the bond program and make sure that some of the decisions we're making, that the decisions that we're making are well thought out and well planned. And for those of you that don't know, this is the line of work that Nelson is in. And so you know, his guidance and his support and his willingness to be able to take calls at all hours of the day and night over 2 years has been really remarkable and really helped us shape a bond program that has been a true gift to this community. I'm going to outline some items today. We're going to kind of review this bond program today, kind of go over some of those projects that we've hit to date, some projects that we're going to look forward to in the future. And a lot of that has been through conversation with Nelson as he's led this board over the last 2 years. And, you know, I just want to say thank you for being a mentor. Thank you for being for your guidance. I'm going to miss you in this role, really will. And I just wanted to share that. So thank you, Nelson, for everything that you've done for 2 years. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you, Blake. It's been a pleasure to work with you, and I'm gonna have Blake withdrawals, so. Gonna miss those
Short
calls.
term, just short term. Yeah.
It's a thing.
It's
a
right.
thing. Hey, why don't we all take a moment? You've done a terrific job, Nelson, truly.
Well, thank you.
Blake's words are well spoken. And your dedication, you've always reached out to us between meetings, always within Brown Act, very respectfully. That great leadership, great connection, and thank you very much.
Thank you. I don't like attention, so let's move on.
Well, and I do want to sum it up though, Nelson, and just say that, you know, I think that the position that we're in, you know, we heard, you know, Christina shared, you know, some comments from Da Vinci related to Da Vinci Connect and the baseball program, but those conversations have been really instrumental. Having these sit down conversations with the 3x3 really have been you know, very, very impactful in our relationship with Da Vinci Schools, to the point where I think we're in a really great place right now to move forward. So just all in all, you hit your goals, Mr. President. Really appreciate it. And I guess we can move on now.
Thank you. Thank you again for the kind words. This happens, it's collective, right? So again, appreciate everyone's support and collaboration, and let's move on. All right, from the, Wendy, do we have any comments from the public on agenda items this evening? No? Okay. All right. On to consent items, and I think, do I have a motion for 8.1?
So moved.
Thank you, Roger.
Second.
Thank you, Rebecca. Any comments or questions on the consent items?
Yes, 8.3 and 8.6, please.
Okay, anyone else? All right, let's go ahead. 8.3, Neil.
I wanted to understand the connection. I think I get it, but between Care Solace and Hazel Health and the relationship between them, et cetera.
Sure.
This is 8.3.
Hazel Health is a separate provider. Care Solace is a company that we partner with where we can refer families to them, and they help those families find a mental health service provider in the community. So the service that they provide is helping families find
They're a resource.
Exactly. Hazel Health is a company that actually provides mental health services with licensed clinicians to our students, and they do so virtually. So Hazel Health sent each school an iPad, and students who are subscribed to this service receive mental health services virtually using that iPad on our campus, or they have the option to receive mental health services at home using their own device. So it's additional mental health services that are provided free of charge to the district. And what you see on the agenda is an extension of their services for free from January until the end of the school year in June. So it's an extension of their services.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Quick follow-up question. Is there a designated space for students where they can go for this, I'll call it a wellness call?
Yeah. So usually it's in the counseling office.
Okay.
So they're provided with a space that's obviously secluded and private for them.
Excellent.
Some of them choose to use headphones. And then there are designated people on campus, like the office assistants or the counselors or interns who are kind of certified, for lack of a better word, to connect that student to their service provider and know what to do in case the service provider needs to get in touch with an adult at school in case of an emergency.
Is this something we're looking at for continuing next year, or will we have support for it to continue next year?
We hope so. So far, they keep extending the free service. And then, yeah, we'll see kind of if that gets extended again.
And then the final thing, is there any assessment of the quality of the program? I love it conceptually. How well is it executed? Do we know?
We don't know. So it's a service, Hazel Health partners with LACO, and that's how districts receive the services for free. I'm not, I can find out if they survey students to see how well the service is working. But we receive positive feedback from our families who appreciate another option besides typical service.
That is, I love it. And metrics, as you know, are really important to me, which takes me to 8.6, if I may, Mr. President.
Absolutely.
Which is the,
You're on a roll.
which is the, what are we calling this? The scorecard.
Yeah.
So Dr. Silvers, I think the question I have for you here is, first of all, I'm very excited about this. It's been something we've been talking about for many, many years. I just didn't know if you could give us any elucidation of the process that's going to happen here, and that may be beyond what you know at this moment, but please.
So we had an in-depth meeting about it so I have an idea more of the outcome than the actual process. Maggie, you may be able to, do you have any more clarity that you can provide to the process side of it?
He's going to be working with our teams on like what our data points are going to be. So that's something that we're going to be sharing with him and I2I to help to kind of develop this scorecard. But what he's really building is this dashboard for us that we won't need them, so that you'll be able to show and, you know, train us alongside the process of how do we continually, how often should we be uploading this data to show this kind of live scorecard more or less throughout the school year, and something that we hope to bring to you throughout, you know, our LCAP process, our, you know, as we're doing check-ins on student growth and learning. So it's going to be probably a 6 to 8 month thing to build, but then once it is, it's ours. Like he's putting it into our
Can we set a
own
goal to have this done by the end of the school year?
Yeah,
Sure,
right.
that's our plan,
Yeah.
for sure. I mean, unless some extenuating circumstances that we share with the board. I was thinking before that even, but yeah.
Just hearing that, like, yeah, come on.
Right.
I mean, we're hoping to have this so that we can present this at our how-to in June regardless. So I mean, we're hoping for sure that it's before
And in the
that.
ideal, this is a dynamic dashboard.
Correct.
Such that it's updated all the time. We can check it at any time. And this is going to give us performance indicators, metrics of success across a wide spectrum of areas. So we can be moving forward.
And we can update you as they come in, because I mean, that could be continuous data like from the student side, but as we do, you know, an assessment and we put it in, we'll let you know that this has been updated in this capacity and where and how it was showcased.
Very excited.
Is it?
And to that point, oh, sorry. No,
I was
sorry.
gonna say, is it anticipated that this will be like on the website or?
Yes,
Yes.
a part of it, yes. Yeah. I mean, we'll.
So there's confidential information.
That and just stuff that maybe just too in depth, but but part of it too is like if we have a state of the district type event, or we have, you know, the night out, when we do the night out in June or July or whenever that is, that we would have document or our tours, for instance, that we have stuff also to hand out. So we're also preparing that as part of this package, but it will be iterative. So we get, you know, we'll have, I don't know, 10, 12, 15 data points now. And, you know, over the year, we may say, oh, well, what about this? This is a great data point that we'll be able to add these other data points. As you said, you know, it's going to be something that's dynamic, that we can look at, that we can, I mean, part of it too is a conversation I had with Rebecca, which was how are we bringing forth our priority metrics? Like we have 5 priorities and, you know, we have goals associated with LCAP. So now we're trying to bring those goals from LCAP and from our SIPSAs into the priority document, so that it's the one document that is associated with this scorecard dashboard thing, that then, so we're like front and center showing progress towards our priorities. It's kind of bringing the full circle, I guess, is what I'm saying. It's kind of bringing it all together so that when we do that, and we're going to try, I talked to Maggie recently and Nisha, when we create our board meeting presentations for next year, tying in these regular updates where we'll highlight maybe once a month or every other month these metrics, so that we're seeing how are we reaching, how are we getting to our goals and so forth. So anyway, I'm excited about it too.
10-year dream, come to reality, and technology enabling us to do so. Thank you.
Yeah, just have
No
a
kidding.
piggyback comment on what Dr. Silver said. I think when we were at the CSBA conference, one of the things that I heard in the superintendent evaluation session that I went in was to have these regular updates on progress towards goals. So I'm really excited that this dashboard will help us to be able to visualize that and to be able to see that. And I think
as Dr. Silver said, hopefully help us see like, where are we actually in meeting those goals for this year in terms of the LCAP, in terms of where we are with our special education numbers, where we are with the various different pieces of this. So very excited to see this project come to fruition. And as we've been building dashboards at my work, I also know that they are not always straightforward.
Yeah.
And to anticipate that it will take time to get it right. Once you start visualizing data, there are so many ways that you can do it, and it really is garbage in, garbage out. So looking forward to seeing it, and Godspeed in in figuring out getting the numbers right. I have a board meeting tomorrow for work, and we're not there.
Thank you, Rebecca. All right, so I have a motion for Roger, a second for Rebecca. All in favor?
Aye.
Fantastic. All right, I think that leads us now to the organizational memberships. And we'll go to item 9.1. And we have a myriad or a slew of these. So to the public, please bear with us. It may take a little while.
Nelson, so just for sort of the order of business, so we'll go through each of these 9.1 to 9.12, obviously individually.
Yep.
We'll approve them, and then I think we'll have a quick recess and we actually do reorganize within the meeting. So we'll stop.
Do we do it at the end or do we do
We'll
it right after 9.1?
9.12. So after we hit
Oh, at the very
9.12,
end. Okay.
then we'll just reorganize.
Okay.
Just about barring any comments or questions, anything. That's
I
how-
want to just have, I know we talked about this last week or, at some point recently, and there's been some changes and stuff. And I'm wondering if we need to have like a fulsome discussion, like talk about all of them together rather than like, then we can approve them one at a time once we have that conversation.
May I
But-
simply suggest we move it,
Uh-huh.
any comments,
Yeah.
and second with comments and have a
On
conversation.
each one,
On each one.
it just seems like we might need to have a conversation about more than one, like they may impact each other, right? If there just seem to be a lot of changes from what we discussed.
So if I may, what we could do, just for the sake of business, we could move and then and second and have comments for like 9.4, which kind of opens discussion. And if we want to discuss other elements, how that may impact others, we can do that as one item to have those conversations, approve 9.4, and then go down subsequently and do each other one.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, Rebecca. I'm thinking there may not be as many changes. Let's just go with them one at a time, I think, and just move it, I think, and we'll see where we get, right? Okay. All right, so 9.1, this is the board taking necessary action to establish basically the president and vice president position. So we'll start first with the president. And I would love to make the motion and motion my right-hand person the last 2 years, Roger Banuelos, as president for the 2025, 2027 year, I guess, right? Two-year term. Thank you, Neil. And I guess do we do the president, vice president together or the president?
They are one motion.
One motion.
They are one agenda.
Okay, so,
Yeah.
all right, so we have motion and second for Roger, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Fantastic. And now, do I have a motion for the vice president?
I'd like to motion Neil Goldman, our Vice President of the Board.
Michelle? Fantastic. All in favor?
Aye.
And before we move on, I know you wanted to move on the conversation earlier, Nelson, but I did want to say thank you. Thank you for your stewardship and leadership as board president. I know it's not an easy feat in the sense that it entails a tremendous amount of time and commitment. And we all do it because of the passion and love that we have for our Weisburn community and all the students and community members that we serve. So thank you. Thank you for your 2 years as board president. Really appreciate it. I think you did a fantastic job.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And looking forward to working with you as the president, and I'm glad to pass the baton.
Thank you.
All right. So. Or
Mr.
with,
President, I move 9.2, the certification of signatures.
okay, I think that's an easy one. Thank you, Neil. Thank you, Rebecca. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Fantastic. All right, next one, 9.3. This is for the county committee of school districts. This is Los Angeles County School Trustees Association, right? Or no, so sorry. County Committee on School District Reorganization.
Move that Roger continue in the position as the county committee.
Fantastic. Rebecca,
I'd like to accept.
do I have a second?
I have a second.
Will you have a second, Neil? Thank you. And thank you, Roger, for continuing to do that. Really appreciate
For
it.
the 27th year. Thank you.
A veteran of that one.
All right, now we're moving on to 9.4.
Take it, Roland.
This is the LA County, oh, I already did all in favor, didn't I? Did I? No, I didn't. Oh, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Fantastic. You can tell that we only do this every 2 years.
Right.
So perfect. All right, item 9.4. This is representative for the Los Angeles County School Trustees Association. And I would love to make a motion here for two. Okay, fantastic. I just want to make sure I got that correct. For both Roger and Rebecca to serve on that association. Do I have a second? Did I motion that? Or
You motioned it.
I'll motion it. Do I have a second? Thank you, Michelle. All in favor?
Aye. I
Fantastic.
know this feels perfunctory, guys. We have to do this for Brown Act.
I know. And I'm not doing a very good job here,
And
so.
thank you to the board for considering having two trustees. I'm looking forward to serving in the role of representing us at Laxta with Roger.
Yeah, great. Thank you. Thank you, Rebecca. And thank you, Roger, for continuing to serve on that as well. Roger's.
Look forward to this. Rebecca.
All right, 9.5, this is WEF, Weisberg Ed Foundation, Board Representative, and,
I'd like to move, I've been in this position for a while,
okay,
and I'd like to invite Michelle to take over the rep as WEF representative, so I'll move that.
and I would love to second that. So, thank you, Michelle. All in favor?
Aye.
Fantastic. Item 9.6, I think this is, we'll have a motion in a second. I think we'll probably have a little bit of a conversation here. This is for budget representatives. And I would like to make a motion on that. I think I have, well,
This is what we have to have a conversation.
yeah, I'll motion it. Do we have a second?
Just to approve, we have.
Second to
approve, I think there's-
that the
To
agenda.
approve,
item.
yeah, to approve it. I think there's conversation on
Sure.
it.
Why don't you?
So just for purposes, I've been on the budget committee for this, and it was you, Neil, that were part of that budget committee with me. So open for conversations.
Yeah. I know,
Discussion.
yeah, I know we've had some conversation. I know Roger is interested in serving as the board president on the thing. I think that makes a lot of sense. We've had other conversations about whether, like, who else should be, I
Mhm.
think, on that. There are like three of us who have said that we would be interested in doing it, so we can't all be on it. But
Point of clarification, I think, this is the budget working group we're talking about.
Correct.
Yes, budget working group.
yeah,
Correct.
yes,
Not the 3x3s.
correct.
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 Yeah. And this is a conversation, one-on-one conversation that Roger and I had about the
Yes.
Yeah. So I would, for my own, learning and growth on the board, would love to serve on the budget working group. Just think that it would be a valuable thing. So that's sort of my pitch for why, but I also think that it would be valuable for the board president to be part of that conversation in terms of, the budget.
And I had expressed interest for the same reason for learning, but I'm happy to turn that over to you and let you take lead on that. And just as long as, we continue to have conversations and allow my learning to continue.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And And I think that, oh, sorry.
I was just gonna add, I know one thing I've talked to Sean about is we probably need to do, not probably, we need to do a better job of providing maybe workshop opportunities for the board, entire board as agendized items related to the budget. So I think that we are gonna plan in presentation to hold some special meetings to be able to have budget specific to budget workshopping, separate from this. That we'd run through the budget committee first, but then everybody would have access to that information to be able to follow along. So just saying that as well as if that has any impact on any of the decisions.
So one thing, oh, go
No, please, Roger.
just one comment. I think it's incredibly important for all of our trustees, our members to have direct access into the different working groups and the committees. One of the reasons I've expressed interest in the budget is just for overall solvency in the next 2 years or decision-making with Blake as president of the board. But given that, I would like to come off of the facilities committee and allow another one of our board members the opportunity to be involved with facilities. I mean, for those that know, that's what I do for a living as well. However, we would still have great consistency and leadership and support there because I believe Nelson would like to remain. We haven't gotten to that item yet on facilities, but then that way both members don't come off, but we also have an opportunity to add a new member to that committee as well, if someone would like some interest in facilities.
Neil, I think you got a comment?
Virtually every decision we make is a financial decision or has a financial impact. So I think, Roger, your comment that we all need to be erudite as to the budget, very knowledgeable. And I do think we can probably, with your help, Sean, do more to bring us all in. It's been a passion of mine. I'm happy to step off so we more can learn. I think that's great. And I have so much to learn still.
Okay, so I tend to agree with all the comments here. I think that there is an importance to the budget, particularly the budget working group, that the president has a seat in that group. I think it's important, but I also agree that I think it's important to give an opportunity to others to learn for sure. And I think Blake, what you just mentioned, I think is I certainly welcome that, is give an opportunity for more budget workshops. So for those of us here that may not be as involved, obviously, we have those opportunities. So with that, I guess perhaps I can make a motion here. I would motion that we consider for the budget representatives, Rebecca and Roger. And I don't know if somebody's willing to second that. Second. And all in favor?
Aye.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Look
Thank
forward
you.
to serving with you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
And Michelle, you're right. You've brought those. And I think with Da Vinci, I'd like to even have a conversation in the future. We used to have some different committees on Da Vinci that maybe we can have a conversation about something that you would really love to be involved in, that perhaps we can set up a working group. So I think you brought up some great points at the last meeting. All right, next item, facilities technology representative. This is the one I think, Roger, you are stepping away from, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't know that we vote.
On the working group?
You'd actually take a vote.
I have the motion and the second, but no.
On budget?
Yeah.
Oh,
I thought we all said aye, but okay.
oh, okay.
Sorry.
Did we not have a motion? I think we
Again.
You did a motion in a second.
I thought I motioned it. Who did a second?
Me?
Neil? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right,
We'll do that one twice.
Thank you for keeping.
I think we did it. really want me to
Thank
do
you for
this.
keeping
Got
us
it.
on.
We could throw the red flag and check it.
Yeah, all right,
Aye,
We're recording, I think.
all right. Let's move to facilities, and it's facilities and technology now. Do I have a motion?
I will move that Michelle and Nelson are the representatives on the Facilities and Technology Committee.
Thank you, Rebecca.
Sorry, working group, what are we calling them? They're not committees.
Working
right?
group,
Working
working
groups,
group.
right?
Working group.
I'd like to second.
Thank you, Roger. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, let's go now to the Local Classroom Funding Authority. Do I have a motion?
Should be, I'll move that Roger become the LCFA. Is that what we're looking for?
Is this the,
This is the one I've been serving on forever, yeah.
would you like to serve on that one? Oh,
So typically the LCFA has been the board president. I know we've made some concessions. It doesn't matter. It's just that that's been I think that's what typically has been the model for all the districts involved. This is the whole 5-district JPA as part of Measure CL.
Just for clarity, I've been on that for 4 years and none of the bodies have changed.
True. I think that was the original intent.
I just
should-
wanted to say thank you
Sorry.
for serving during
I
my
mean,
term.
and it's been a nice connection.
So what we heard,
would you like to stay on
I'm
that?
happy to continue doing that. but no, we're fine.
Motion for Neil?
All right, I got a motion for Neil.
Neil.
Do I have a second? Thank you, Rebecca. We're voting for that quickly. All in favor?
Aye.
No.
Although I did get to sit in on it. It
did.
was very
No,
quick.
you on the
and-
LPSFA.
Oh, it was a different one. The other one, the next one.
The
Okay.
next one. So that leads us to the next one. Local.
4 more
Public-
guys, hang in.
Local Public School Funding Authority. Do I have a motion?
Okay.
this is the 2 districts. This
Two.
is simply Centinela Valley and Wiseburn for bond authorization.
And this one, I think, has this one been president and vice president?
I think
In the
That's what it
past?
says.
It was,
has.
and I think we've changed. It's probably been pretty
Currently for
This is
president.
a once, if not twice a year meeting.
maximum.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So I would say that would make sense to have the president, vice president.
Okay. All right.
I'll move Roger and Neil.
Thank you, Rebecca.
Second.
Thank you, Michelle. All in favor?
Aye.
Oh. All right. Next one is District Recreation and Community Working Group. Where's the other sheet?
It's
I'd like to make a motion for Nelson and Rebecca.
You have a second?
Thank you.
Thank you, Roger. Thank you, Neil. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Next one is Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Working Group. And I would like to motion Rebecca and Neil for that one. Do I have a second?
A second?
Thank you, Roger. All in favor?
Aye.
Want to make sure you confirm. you
No.
said yes.
Yes.
Vote. No, I don't want to do that.
You had no choice.
I love working with
You're
Dr.
doing it.
Ingram, so I would like to keep working with Dr. Ingram.
And,
Yeah.
and the next one is the Wiseburn Da Vinci Partner Representative. And I'd like to make a motion here for Roger and Neil. And I don't know if I have a second, and there could be a conversation, discussion here.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Michelle. Any comments or questions before we take the vote?
My only comment would be, obviously expressed interest at the last meeting and same thing, my intent really in the infancy of my term is really just to learn as much as I can. So I've asked for a little bit of communication as far as this committee, this working group to go, just so that I can learn as much as I can.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Michelle.
And these are the representatives that serve on the 2x2 or 3x3s, basically.
Thank you.
The rest of the community have been the high-level conversations between the two boards.
Yes. All right, all
Yeah.
all in favor?
Aye.
Fantastic. All right, we got past that. Thank you, everyone.
Now we do a recess, a quick short
Recess?
one. I mean, we don't have to officially recess, but we're going to do a dance of chairs, yes.
And now I get kicked to the corner. now.
Shuffle the cards. The hat game.
Yeah.
It was like the 7th inning stretch.
We only get to adjourn the meeting? Is that what we're doing this?
Oh, you got facilities items. We got facilities items.
Oh, okay. I was like, why are we doing that?
He doesn't want
This
to
is
sit
your-
next to me.
No, I
anymore.
was-
Congratulations, Mr. President.
Thank you. Thank you
Congratulations.
for your service there.
Oh,
Roger.
man.
Hey, can we move over? You want me to move over here?
Excellent.
Do I have to move? Woo.
Yeah. All right.
Good job, buddy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I know it goes all the way to the opposite side.
People are always.
Feel so far away.
Well, oh, you know what?
Yes, this is yours. So that's Nelson's.
That's how, you should say that's how.
Make this.
2 years.
How do you think I felt for 2 years, Nelson? Remember, I used to sit in the corner too.
I know.
Is that weird?
Feels,
Looking forward to working with
feels strange. It feels strange over here.
Did you guys take your chairs with you?
No.
You
No, I
you
didn't
like
do
your
that.
chair?
He likes how warm
I'm
Neil
okay. I'm
left
okay.
All right, well, thank you, everyone. Truly look forward to working with all of you in this new role for the next 2 years. And thank you to my colleagues on the board for your trust and confidence. I promise to be inclusive and have conversations as we move the district forward to achieve even greater goals as we move forward. We've already had a lot of conversations, really truly looking forward to working with all of you and doing our best for all of our students, community, staff, and all of our parents, teachers within the Weisman Unified School District, and continuing a lot of the great work. Really, truly look forward to working with all of you. With that said, we're going to continue on with the agenda and move on to item 10.1, which is the approval of reprioritization of projects for upcoming Series B issuance. And I'm going to turn that over to Dr. Silvers.
And I'll turn it over to Cherie. I'm just kidding, Cherie.
Great.
She was ready. She was ready.
She would have done it too.
Share.
Right, that's football, sure.
Blake,
do that if you want.
Blake, while you set up, I'm going to go ahead and ask for a motion in a second so that we can start the conversation because it is an action item.
I'll move 10.1.
You have a second.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so I just wanted to, we had a little bit of a discussion at the last board meeting. I shared in my comments, just overall reprioritization for our bond projects, primarily going, the board has asked for parity. We've talked about that throughout the process, and unfortunately, when costs come in, we have to make some shifts and make some adjustments. Pretty typical in bond program management. Again, want to thank Cherie and Noemi for their guidance and expertise related to this. But I just want to give sort of an overview of where we're at today, some of the projects that we've covered, as well as some of moving forward, how we're going to take a look at this. So going on, a couple of things I'm going to talk about is our projects that we're currently have in progress and are planning. I'm going to talk about our Series B projections. And then, because Series A is basically expended, talk a little bit about C and D, potentially bond program reprioritization and some next steps. So looking here, I want to celebrate a little bit. This is the list of projects that are in place. So you look at our Del Air roof replacement, that happened last summer, Del Air TK conversion project and Holly Glen TK conversion project. And I want to highlight those because those initially were separate construction. We shared that a little bit, separate constructions as part of the master plan. And again, the cost of that was just so high, so insurmountable to create new buildings that we had to make some adjustments just to make it fit so that we could do other projects. And you'll see that as we look at some of the costs, why that's the case. But Del Air and Holly Glen TK conversion, part of the legislation, we are seeing increased numbers of TK. It's super exciting. It's even more exciting when you go watch TK students sing at the Holiday Sing event. So I encourage anybody that wants to go see a wonderful event to go to see some of our babies singing. It's absolutely amazing. Just would recommend that. Weisman Da Vinci Soccer Field project is finished. Kind of, we're waiting for goals, I think, but we're about as close to finish as you can be without being finished. And just a really, really nice project. If you had a chance to walk along, the campus here, you'll see that the berm is no longer the berm. It's actually an open soccer field. It actually changes the whole footprint of the school. It changes the view, changes just, I got to think the whole student and staff experience having that open and accessible. The big 135th and Aviation Sports Complex, looking to build that out in March. start building, in March. That's going to be a fantastic project. You all have seen that too in updates. I think Noemi did, not I think. Noemi gave an update last week. So you were able to see some of that and even some of the renderings. Really nice project, expensive project, but nice project. And you had all the solar projects. Now, I do want to say solar projects, although it says bond, they were not a bond project per se. So we didn't pay for the solar panels and the solar, cantilevers and so forth and construction. But there are some soft costs, $500,000 in soft costs, basically maybe $300,000 to $500,000, DSA approvals, certain inspectors that have to come in and do some of the work outside of what the actual project is itself. So pretty low cost, but we include that in here because the project's done. It is a huge project for the district in its entirety. Also, there's a small portion of that gets funded from the bond just to finish the project and get the DSA approvals that we need.
If I may, just on that.
Sure.
Not only is that a nice project for the earth, it is a profitable project for the district, saving us money on utility costs and bringing money back into the district. And again, because of the IRA, which at the CSBA, we're told we have confirmation, but we'll get to see it, that we've qualified for the Inflation Reduction Act, which will mean millions of dollars back to us. This is a total win, and it was financed entirely without public dollars. So this is a win for us. Thank you for that.
Sure, absolutely. And then looking down to future planning, what you'll see is aviation door access controls, you see Holly Glen door access controls, you see Wiseburn door access controls. The reason why you don't see Del Air is because you also see the Del Air modernization. So those access controls were actually folded into that Del Air modernization, safety and security as a whole. So you do see 4 schools being addressed from an access standpoint. That was number one priority of the board, was safety and security. So you're seeing camera systems and you're seeing access controls. And that would lead me into the next project, which is the network infrastructure project. It wasn't intended to be as comprehensive in the master plan as it needed to be. What I mean by that is, as things were unraveled and the onion was sort of peeled back, we did find that we needed to do more than what was then a rip and replace, which was in the initial plan. And what that means is you're just pulling a switch out and putting a new one in. The reality is, with the amount of devices that we've seen on our campus, with the exponential growth of devices, utility using of Zooms and et cetera. I can't name all of the applications, but with such a use, we were finding an unstable network, as I'm sure our teachers and staff could attest to. The only fix to that was to increase the footprint of the network, was to put outdoor access points, outside, so that we were getting a little bleed out from our internal access points, but we definitely needed to have stronger network outdoors as well. In the future, there could be, or maybe currently, you use those for outdoor learning as needed, obviously PE classes, and so forth. So just that project actually came in much higher than we had anticipated, but much needed as well. And then SLC's futures relocation, that's sort of hand in hand with the 135th and Aviation Sports Complex, when we had to remove the aviation and remove the buildings at 135th and Aviation. Those 2 buildings were left standing. We had to remove those as well. Couple reasons. A is we need to move them because they're just dilapidated and need to go at one point, and we were almost there. They're literally at end of life, and we had to find something to do with it anyway. So that's, we're knocking it down as part of the field project. They have to be relocated, so we are relocating those to the Del Air site, just adjacent to the preschool and the Del Air Da Vinci Connect program. Small relocation, but a much needed one. So I wanted to share any questions about projects, any comments. I may stop there for a half a second just to see. No? Then we'll move on. And so then we look at funding. I want to talk a little bit about funding. When I looking at the top, I'm just going to sort of pour you through this. You have your project on the left. You have your bond series there on the next column. Then you have your plan project. And what plan project means, was this in the master plan? Did we know that this was going to happen, or was it in a subsequent conversation? And then budgeted costs should really be like projected costs. It really should be like what we thought we were going to spend. In some cases, it was a master plan expense. In other cases, it was some sort of cost estimate that we received. So anyway, that's that. And then when you look to the right of that column, actual cost to the bond, it's really projected cost to the bond. Some of these aren't exact actuals, but for the most part, these are things that we would have to do. And then obviously you see to the right the completion date I do want to point out the network infrastructure project is currently showing a June 2032 completion date. The network infrastructure project is not officially the physical network infrastructure is actually is almost done. I mean, we're literally at the end of that. We have some access control, but the payment for it, so we're looking at this more as a financial report. We did finance that project to some degree, or not to some degree, we did finance that project. So we are finishing that payment in 2032. So it's off our books at that point. It was interest-free, fees-free funding that we were able to take advantage of. So we were able to alleviate a bit of a cash flow issue and get more done now so that we could spend it over time and get the project done that we wanted. So looking, there is quite a bit of red in the delta. That delta is basically what we're overrunning. I do want to point out one other mistake that I made, or maybe did I take care of that mistake yet? I'm sorry. I didn't, did I? It's the 12 million. Sorry. If you look down, it's on the 135th and Aviation Sports Complex. It says 2,764.161. It's really 12 million. So I apologize. I was just a couple million.
What a deal.
Yeah. So we really didn't mess that projection up so much. I will fix that in a future meeting. We will be talking about that. So sort of disregard that large delta there. It's really it's a 4. It's basically 4 million, almost $5 million is a delta there. So looking down, we did have our Del Air roof replacement. That's completed on budget. Pretty much it's what we were expecting. Del Air TK conversion, Holly Glen TK conversion projects all came. Del Air not as much, didn't come over, but you do see about $1 million at Holly Glen. And primarily that was due to some load-bearing walls that were identified after the fact. At first they weren't considered load-bearing walls, they were. And when you start touching walls inside a building, you have to do seismic studies, and DSA requirements are higher. So we had to do that to the tune of about $1 million.
And the doors, right? Adding the doors.
We did
on the
add
back
some
of the
doors. Yeah, that was a
classrooms.
few $100,000 that we added doors. We wanted to make sure that the TK rooms all faced each other. If you have 6 rooms, that they could exit out and actually interact in the TK area that we're creating. Also had the Weisberg Da Vinci soccer field. A couple hundred, almost $300,000 over the 135th and Aviation Sports Complex. As I said, it's not 14 million, but it is a $4 million difference. It is pretty massive in what that was. And the problem with a field is that there's not much scope to cut, right? You're putting a field down. You have some concrete benches that if you take, that's a couple $100,000 maybe. But the reality is it's field. You're either cutting field or you're cutting lights or you're cutting something that's going to impact the actual use of that property. So there's just not much to cut there. It's just expensive. Field's expensive. Building is expensive. And certainly coming in over, $4 million more. Yeah.
Just a comment on Series A, B, C, and D is not showing, but maybe for the communities, what is Series A, B, C, and D?
I'm sorry. Yeah. So basically you draw a bond in series. So you're not taking, we had a $98 million bond. You're not taking all $98 million up front. You draw X amount and you have 3 years to spend or encumber those funds to spend them. And over time, then you just draw the next and it's basically a series of draws. And so you'll see here at the bottom, as you work to the bottom, Series A, our draw was almost $25 million. So that's what you have to spend. But if you note, and then 35 million for Series B, but if you notice, there's also about $12 million, $12.5 million that you take out for bond program administration, contingency. So then you're really working with much less. You're working with that $46 million, almost $47 million. So you're taking some off the top. So that's our operating budget basically, is that 47 million that you see there. What you're seeing with this current progress, I highlighted Del Air because I didn't number it. Budgeted or projected costs about 7.5 million. You see it's much higher than that at 13.9, almost $14 million. A massive renovation. It's super significant. And you see at the bottom line with Series A and B, you're looking at about a almost $6 million delta. The problem is with all of those projects on the left, you can't take from anywhere but the Del Air modernization, right? Everything else is either accounted for or done, completed, or in progress. So you really have to start looking at modernization. And now that we finally have numbers over the last week and a half, I mean, we're bringing this to you really fresh off the press, and that's why it's quick. And we're doing it on a Monday at a special meeting to recognize board members, is because You know, now we're seeing the trending of a $14 million minor renovation or minor modernization, how that's going to impact the other schools as well. So having to take into account, how are we going to plan these bond dollars out over the next 10 years so that we're able to achieve what this board has asked from the beginning, which is parity, and what we want to give. You know, we want to make sure that all schools get something, and that we're really utilizing the funds effectively for the community and for our students. And so this was alarming to us. And when we laid it out over the years, what you don't see here is if we had gone forward with this and we had made some adjustments and were able to work through it, what you would have seen is, you know, furniture, equipment, any type of updates to any of the other schools, not even being considered in 2029-ish, you know, maybe 2030. And then you have like $8 million. And so we already know it costs $14 million to renovate a school that, you know, it's in, the bones are good. Obviously it needs some work, but the bones are good. You know, if you start moving to our other schools, it's just going to be exponentially more than $8 million. Now, in current dollars, fast forward to 2029, it's going to be massively more expensive than that. So we're really just trying to reconcile some of these numbers that we just received and go through that. So wanted to share this, wanted to share the problem, but I also want to share a solution. So we do have some solutions that we think are going to work. So this is numbered, probably a little bit easier to read. Most of this is the same, but what I want to take you down to is you see your Del Air roof replacement, you see your TK conversions, you see your Wiseman Da Vinci soccer field, the 135th Aviation, et cetera. But then go to 7, district-wide carpet, flooring, ceiling, tile refresh. You see that it's budgeted right across there at about $7 million. It is you saw number 7. We're saying the projected cost of bond is about $7 million. We think that's conservative. Well, we know that's conservative. We have some pretty good cost estimates, but it's on the high end. So we think we'll have some contingency after that. It should cover all of, and what that would be to the district is every school, all 4 sites would very soon get new carpets, new flooring, new ceiling tiles, and we would work towards furniture, fixtures, furniture, and equipment for all of those schools as well as one bulk. So you see that as number 7 and number 8 on this. 7 being the carpet and the ceiling tile or flooring. I keep saying carpet. This flooring and ceiling tiles would be carpet and some linoleum vinyl. Is it linoleum? What is it? I'm sorry, luxury vinyl tiles.
LVT.
Or LVT. We'll get some LVT.
It's not really luxury. We're not buying luxury.
It's just what it's called.
That's for the record.
For the record, yeah. It's just called that. Yeah.
Yeah, and can I throw in one more thing I think is useful for folks to know? We are not making these estimates. We have experts making these estimates. These estimates, and correct me if I'm wrong, Roger and Nelson, were initially made in the facilities master plan, updated since then.
Right.
What's happening is we're getting professionals giving us estimates, and the cost escalation has become astronomical. We started noticing this a number of months ago. A few of us raised some flags of, hey, we don't want to have decisions made for us. So I'm particularly appreciative, Dr. Silvers, that we are taking a moment to step back and say, all right, what's realistic? What can we do given this new environment?
Yeah.
So thank you for that. And I just want folks to know.
Appreciate that. And I think part of it too was us making sure we had all the information at our hands to be able to make the best decision or recommendations possible. And so this is the best information at our hands right now. And as you can see, we are overrun quite significantly, particularly due to that modernization. And so this actually adds that parity. We'll get into each school. The goal would be to try and do that this summer, where you get carpets and flooring, or flooring and ceilings done this summer, as well as some of the furniture. But if you notice on line number 7, while we think the budget's about $7 million, you could see that in the budgeted cost, or what we would call the projected cost. It says $7 million. This is again line 8 for district furniture, fixtures, and equipment. When you go to the right of that, we only put $2 million. Why is that? Because at the bottom line, we have to make sure it's balanced. And so you see our running total, we're running a deficit of about $600K. That'll come out in the wash. Like, we know $600K will account for. We've over budgeted a little bit in some areas, so that should wash out fine. Plus, if we need to use some developer fees or some district funds that we have set aside to finish that project, we can do that. And so that number is there. So we feel real good with that number. We feel real good with that bottom line. But that's the 2 million that you see there is basically us having to adjust to make sure that we're balanced at the bottom. And so what 2 million means is furniture we'll have to prioritize furniture. We'll have to have a phased in approach to furniture to get through A and B. And likely, and I'll bring this to the board, I guess more formally at one point, but part of that is probably prioritizing our older kids first. We'd start with our age 7, 6, move down to 5th and 4th, and then to 3rd. Obviously, I don't need to count down all the numbers for you all. I think you get it. But the idea is that we would start running down the list. And when we could do chunks, we will. You know, if we can do a chunk of, just middle school at one point, and then we go to upper elementary, we will. And then obviously get down to our TKK sort of at that final push, but much sooner probably, hopefully, than 2029, or at the very latest for those groups, 2029. We know that 3 years out or 4 years out that we'll be able to finish some of the furniture if we can't do it before then.
I noticed on here it says C or D for the furniture, fixtures and equipment, but are you planning that for B now?
We're gonna plan that to be, so we're gonna
Okay.
prioritize that to be. It'll
Portion of
be,
it to be, right.
good question, thank you for catching that. It'll be B, C, and D basically is what it would be likely. We may put we're gonna focus on classrooms first, just for, we're not gonna upgrade, school office furniture yet until we have a better scope of what this will cost. We're gonna just make sure we're getting furniture into the classrooms.
So maybe the theme of the evening, we can all see these costs, again, are escalating astronomically. There's finite dollars.
Correct.
I'm thrilled we're involving the teachers in the furniture decisioning. My request would be, as the teachers are evaluating the furniture, that they have knowledge of the cost structure here. For example, if 2 options are very close, we're testing 4 that we approved at our last meeting. If 2 options are very close, the 1 and 2, but there's a significant price differentiation that would enable us to get all the classrooms for, if we pick number 2, I would encourage us to let the teachers put that part of the equation so people are in the know.
Sure, absolutely. You got that, sure.
Thank you.
All right. Sure, he's leading the FF&E committee, so appreciate that. And we do have 6 classrooms that were, as I shared at the last meeting, we do have 6 classrooms across the district. Going to figure out times where we can have teachers that aren't in those particular sites and that have different grade levels to go out and see those as well. So we can have that sort of mixing and matching. But, I think oftentimes when we see red like this, when we see these gaps, it's disappointing in some ways. And I think that I'm really looking at this glass half full, and this is an opportunity for us to provide parity at the school sites, for us to get started on some of we knew we were gonna have to do carpet and ceiling. Let's get in there and do that. Let's get new furniture in. I mean, as a parent and as an educator, walking in and seeing a classroom with new carpet, new ceiling, and new furniture, and audio visual support, it's really a nice new environment for kids and for our teachers and families. So look at it as an opportunity for sure to move forward. And as you see, looking like a pretty well balanced budget here. To get through these projects, obviously with the $2 million that I think could fluctuate up. I'm going to say that hesitantly, but I'm going to say it. I do think that $2 million, we're really being conservative there. It could end up being $3 to $4 million, which is even better because the more money that falls to the bottom there, the more we'll be able to do, and we'll be able to push those the furniture program down into our lower grades. Any questions with this particular?
So one thing that it's very clear with the presentation, first of all, is thank you for the presentation. It's really incumbent upon us to look at what our options are. And I think there was really no way to forecast what was going to happen in the market. It's incredibly important for us to look at what happens with, for example, the Del Air modernization, because it tells us the need is incredibly great. We don't have all of the resources to go through and do a comprehensive modernization of each of our school sites. So in construction for us, it's like having a project schedule. Build the schedule, but it's the roadmap. It's the tool from which we can make decisions as information is constantly coming in for a construction project. Oh, thank you. As it's constantly coming in for a construction, we can make decisions with that roadmap. So this is very evident as well with regards to cost and escalations and inflation. I do like this concept in the sense that it does provide for more of the parity amongst all of our school sites. And some of our students aren't waiting 4 or 5 years down the road or something happens down the road and there isn't any money to even touch those school sites. This ensures that we're able to touch each of those school sites at an appropriate time. So thank you for the presentation. I'll open it up to any comments from my colleagues here. Starting at the end, Nelson?
I have no comments. Thank you for the presentation, and I completely concur with you, Roger, about, I like this plan because it does bring parity among the schools, and they're not gonna have to wait. So, I can, and thank you. Well done, Blake.
And I would also add to HVAC is not on here. You will see that there's a host of other projects that we're going to bring to the board. You have asked for reprioritization. As you see, A and B is pretty much expended, right? We're going to basically work to the last dollar to get furniture into classrooms. But then there is a series of other projects as we get to series, C and D. 2029 and then again, I think 2032 that will pull the other dollars out. And then, so we're gonna have to prioritize, also assuming some of this cost escalation that Roger and Nelson both shared, how do we, and so HVAC, I brought up HVAC because that was something significant. I know Michelle and Rebecca, when we walked the community for the bond, a lot of those conversations had to do, we talked about HVAC systems. And so we really want to make sure that we're able to do that. In the meantime, the district will, obviously assuming that not all of them, die at the same time, but we will replace them as they go. So we're not going to leave a broken HVAC system in a classroom. We'll replace them with deferred maintenance and other routine maintenance dollars. It's just this massive overhaul of the entire HVAC system at each school. It's about a $6.3 million project that we're going to have to budget out for a future bond series, probably C or D. So I just want to say that because I know that's a super priority. Well, we'll see. We'll bring that to the board and you all will be able to make the decision as to where that falls in the priority list.
Any other comments, Michelle?
Thank you for the presentation. I mean, I know that these are really tough decisions that need to be made, and I appreciate the foresight and appreciate the parity is huge. And I think that even though we're a small district, making sure that that there is parity among the schools, I think is a really important thing. So thank you for keeping that in mind.
Yeah.
You've shared enough.
Rebecca.
I just reiterate what Nelson and Michelle shared. I'm grateful that we're doing this in a thoughtful way that is going to impact all of our schools in a positive way in the near term, but for the long term. And so I think that's a really critical aspect of this. And I also just think that I notice on here the feasibility of doing multiple schools. I know we are trying to do everything we can when folks are out of the classroom. And so also appreciate the idea that we're going to start with a couple of schools and then, move on to others so that we are inconveniencing people as much as possible, and grateful to all of the teachers and staff and everyone who has had to be inconvenienced as part of these projects, but in the long run, I think it really will benefit all of our current and future students. But in the near term, I mean, all these projects we're trying to complete in the next year and a half or so. And that will be an even bigger impact. So appreciate that there's a short-term pain for long-term gain, as it were. And grateful for that, and to Noemi and her team for also continuing to keep track of those costs and that value engineering where we can find it. So.
Thank you, Rebecca. Blake, I'll let you wrap up with next steps before I call the question.
Sure, and I would just say one of the it should be probably under next steps, but I'm just from, I think in all transparency too, this could mean reprioritizing even when stuff happens at Del Air. We've been talking a lot to the staff there and obviously been sharing with the board about a modernization at Del Air. Well, now that we're looking at a little bit of a different process or a different program, if you will, a couple different projects, it may mean that Del Air happens later and we started aviation in the middle school just for ease of use. We're going to take a look at the process now and make sure it's the most feasible process to get the job done quicker. So it could be Del Air may not be modernized or may not be the first school to get carpet and ceiling tiles. It may be aviation. So I just want to put that out there. We have to make the best decision based on the resources, not based on what we've shared in the past. Obviously, we're kind of doing a timeout and a bit of a pivot here in the right direction, but making that pivot could mean that we change some of the deliverables, when those deliverables and to whom those deliverables happen. So I just wanted to put that out there. Not ready to share more detail on that yet. We will in early January. I am going to be going to the Del Air staff meeting on Wednesday to share that as well. So we will go through that process with them. But next steps here, other than that, is determining the best project delivery. We want to figure out how to maximize our time and how to maximize the projects so that we can get as much done and as efficiently, effectively as possible. So we'll bring that back to the board. We're also, again, looking at the feasibility of completing multiple schools during the summer. It could mean that we do carpet and ceiling at all 4 schools, but only furniture at 1 or 2 or whatever during the summer. Could be that we do just 2 schools. I mean, we don't know yet, and we have to kind of test the market, and we'll let the market determine kind of what the feasibility actually is in terms of completing this project this summer, or what we can complete this summer, I should say. Reprioritizing as needed. As I shared, we will bring back a charrette, some sort of activity workshop to the board to go over those final projects, or there may be projects in your mind that you're thinking that aren't on that list that certainly you'd want to bring to that, so we can add that into the mix. But we do have a good list of projects beyond the ones that I shared to help support.
Will you also look at value engineering all of those projects?
Everything.
Yeah.
We'll have to, yeah, for sure. And some can and some can't. You know, HVAC, it just has to be HVAC, right? But yes, absolutely, where we can, we would. And also like what's utilized, for instance, sorry, I could talk for for days on this, but if you think about the Weismer Middle School field, it gets a lot of use. There's been talks about turf. That may be a project that has to rise to the top just for the amount of use that field's getting.
It's going to be needing to be replaced.
And so, but we'll have to look at that as a process. I do know we're looking at Holly Glen. The Holly Glen field now, because it's getting really muddy and dirty, so we are going to look similar to what we did in the TK area there, is kind of maybe digging it out, figuring out what the drainage issues are there, and then being able to reseed it or resod it or whatever the right process is, just so that we can start fixing some of those issues. Again, some of that will be deferred maintenance, some will be routine maintenance, some will be a bond project that we'll bring back to the board, but looking for those too. And then providing an update at the January board meeting. We'll have a good idea of what we can and can't get done by then, and probably more of a timeline that I won't share. Noemi will be back on stage to do that in January. So if there's no other questions, that's all I have today related to this.
Hearing none.
I do have a comment. Just forgive me, but in looking at 10.1, which is, I believe, the item we're talking about
Yes.
now,
Yes.
right?
10.1.
When we look at the way it is written, I'm not sure it's clear what we're voting on. Because it says, I think it was suggesting in the middle of the item that the Dale Air Modernization Project cost was 13.9. That's the old, and the new is going to be the FF&E at 14, but it doesn't really say that.
It's the district-wide flooring, ceiling, furniture, and.
Forgive me, but what I meant was, it says both of them. It doesn't say one's being replaced by the other. It just
So-
lists them both.
So we can just say we are. We're basically.
I just want to
yes,
amend that for
absolutely.
clarity, so we're not approving a $27.9 million item here.
Right, so we're basically approving swapping a Dell Air modernization, the comprehensive modernization for what it's worth, to a full-on district-wide flooring, ceiling, and then FF&E project.
Great.
They about match the same number of dollars. We'll be able to throttle up on the furniture, throttle down as needed, so that we can manage the excess costs.
I would like the write up to.
We will, sure.
With that, I'm comfortable.
In the minutes, yep.
And that comprehensive modernization is certainly being scaled now.
Yeah, but it's.
Yes.
The way it's written.
Yeah, we're rescoping.
Okay. With that amendment, I have a motion from Rebecca, second from Neil. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. We're going to go to item 10.2. This is amendment number 2 to an agreement with LPA for design standards to be paid from Measure EE bond funds. Is there a motion?
A motion?
Second.
Any discussion?
So this is the new project that we just discussed, or is this the design services for the new FF&E project, or for the furniture pilot?
I'm gonna probably tag Sheree in on this one.
So item 10.2 is additional services fees for LPA. We originally hired them to do design standards for a district, which were inclusive of FF&E standards. But at that time, the fee estimated was around $8,000. We were just looking for them to give us general schematic ideas for what FF&E would be in the classrooms. Since that time, we have expanded upon the requested services. And so they're assisting us with design standards for the 6 classrooms, They're doing layouts, they're providing us with finishes, they're assisting with some of the procurement services. So with that, they did come to us and they originally submitted an ad services fee for around $40,000. We worked with LPA in revising those services down and reducing the fee to an additional $20,000 to finalize district standards for all spaces outside of classrooms. So this will be inclusive of classrooms, multi-purpose room, admin spaces, and other areas within the campus to then eventually give us what our design standards will be district-wide.
I guess I'm confused. If we're doing the ceilings and we're doing the floor and we're doing the furniture, what design standards are we needing?
So the design standards directly for FF&E will establish what goes into a space. So when we are designing new campuses or we're modernizing new campuses, a classroom will get X number of student desks. They'll get X number of student chairs. They'll get a teacher desk, a teacher task chair. They'll get storage. So it's establishing counts and now finishes for the classroom. It'll then also establish what will go into an admin office. Maybe an admin office gets a desk, a task chair. It gets upper storage. It gets a return. It gets a conference table and some chairs. So we are working through that process to establish what those standards will be when it comes to FF&E.
So once those design standards or those layouts that LPA will be doing, that'll also be utilized to create your procurement list from which to purchase.
Correct.
All of the FF&E, because absent of that, we don't know what's going to go into a specific classroom. What
Correct.
Once the standard's approved, then you'll use that for your procurement and actually go and order and buy the furniture.
That is correct.
I have one quick question. So Cherie, this fee would be district-wide.
District-wide, that is correct.
And then the second is, will this be coordinated with whatever we're doing in terms of modernization? And what I'm referring to is outlets and stuff like that, that may be associated with the new furniture that we're bringing in.
Absolutely. So
Okay.
once the standards are established, those standards are then handed over to architectural firms as we hire them to assist us with projects. And then it's their responsibility to do all of that coordination.
And this is
Thank you.
adding 20,000, not adding 105.
That is correct.
And this creates consistency in everything we do. I get it.
Yeah.
That is correct.
Hearing no more questions, I have a motion from Neil and a second from Rebecca. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Sheree.
Item 10.3 is,
Can we move 10.3 through 5 since they're all for the TK conversion project?
we can certainly do that.
I would-
10.3, 10.4, and 10.5.
I would love a second.
Move it and
A motion from Rebecca, a second from Nelson. Any discussion, any questions? Hearing none. All those in favor?
aye.
Aye. I think that was our last action item.
For a really quick meeting.
This is supposed to be a 30-minute, no, I was just kidding.
That was the longest quick meeting ever.
Well, at least we split it up in 2 meetings,
Yeah,
basically.
there you go.
You know,
There you
I
go.
mean,
Do you have a motion
glass is
to
half
adjourn?
full.
You have a motion.
In a second.
And a second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much,
Right.
everyone.
Happy holidays, happy holidays.